This is a Monstera, and in this video, I'm going to share with you how to care for this beautiful, iconic houseplant that everyone seems to want. By the time this video is over, you'll know exactly what to do to get it to thrive. I'll share with you everything that I do to care for my Monsteras. Also, stick around till the end. The last tip will make sure you never kill a Monstera because you overwatered it. So get ready, give this video a like, and let's get into it. Let's start by talking about the lighting requirements that your Monstera needs to thrive. You'll sometimes hear that Monsteras can survive in lower lighting conditions, and although this is true, it won't thrive. It'll grow slower and won't develop the holes in the leaves that every Monstera owner is looking for, better known as fenestrations. Instead, try to keep your Monstera in bright indirect light. If you notice that your plant is growing leggy, the leaves are turning yellow or brown, or you're even seeing smaller leaves, it may be a sign that it's not receiving enough light. If you notice any of these symptoms and suspect that it may be due to lack of light, you have two options, and they're both an easy fix. You can either invest in grow lights, which are a very affordable way to supplement your lighting, or better yet, find a bright window in your home, place it in an area in that room that has similar lighting to the spot where it wasn't doing so well. Then slowly acclimate your Monstera by moving it every 2 to 3 weeks, half a foot closer to the source of light. With every move, monitor the leaves to make sure the leaves are not browning around the edges or that the top of the leaves are not turning yellow, which are usually signs that the leaf may be scorching. If you see these symptoms, then back your plant away from the light source and continue to monitor your plant. Acclimating your plant to the light this way is a great way to not only reduce the symptoms your plant had when it was moping along in the lower lighting, but it'll also help to increase the health of your plant and the amount of fenestrations on your leaves. Monsteras prefer stable temperatures between 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so avoid placing yours in an area with extreme temperature fluctuations, such as near doors or windows that are frequently opened. In regards to humidity, they thrive at higher levels, ideally around 60 to 70%, and can tolerate levels as low as 50%. But if it goes below that, you may notice that the tips of the leaves become brown and crispy. If you don't live in a humid climate and need to increase the humidity levels in your home, you can try grouping your plants together to slightly increase the level of humidity. But really, in all honesty, if you need a substantial increase in humidity, your best bet is to invest in a humidifier for that room. Just be careful not to allow the leaves to get wet, as this can lead to fungal growth and other issues. Also avoid placing your Monstera near heating or cooling vents, as this can dry out the air as well. If you purchase your plant from a reputable garden center or nursery, in most cases, the soil your plant came with is adequate to keep your Monstera growing. But as it continues to grow, you will eventually need to repot it to a slightly larger container. You'll want to do this about every 1 to 2 years, or when you notice that the roots are becoming crowded. In which case, I recommend you repot your Monstera using a well-draining soil mix that provides plenty of aeration, but still has some water holding capacity. The mix I specifically use for Monsteras, and I suggest you give it a try, consists of 40% core or peat moss, or a combination of the two, 25% bark, 25% perlite, and 10% charcoal. This mix I've found gives Monsteras the proper soil mix to keep them happy and healthy. Now let's talk fertilizer. To keep your Monstera healthy and promote growth, it's important to routinely fertilize them. During the growing season, which for Monsteras typically runs from early spring to early fall, I aim to fertilize once a month using a well-balanced fertilizer at the high recommended rate, which the rate will depend on the fertilizer I'm using at that time. Always be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions for the correct dosage and application method. Then during the winter months, as the plants slow down, I'll cut that rate to 25 to 50% the recommended high rate. During this time, the plant doesn't need as much fertilizer. You can actually do more harm to your plant than good, as excess salts could build up in your soil if your plant is not actively taking up the fertilizer. Also, if you're new to caring for plants or treating a younger plant, I would recommend you start with half strength. And as you gain confidence or your plant grows, then increase the rate. With water and fertilizer, it's always better to go with less than more. If you're paying attention to the plant, it'll usually tell you if it needs either of them. But if you apply too much, the consequences may be irreversible. The way I make it easy for me to remember when to fertilize my plants is to always fertilize them the first of the month. The way it works is like this. If it's growing season, I'll fertilize at high rate on the first of the month. And if the plant's growth has slowed down, I'll apply fertilizer at a reduced rate the first of the month. Super easy to remember. You may occasionally find the need to prune your Monsteras to keep them healthy and looking their best. You can do this by trimming off any yellow or brown leaves, and at the same time paying attention to these signs, as they can be an indication of stress or disease. Also with Monsteras, you don't need to prune them to encourage a fuller plant. This won't make them any bushier. If you're looking for a fuller plant, then you just need more plants per pot, and you could achieve this by propagating cuttings from your mother plant and placing multiple plants in one pot. Or if you prefer the single vine look, you can also train your Monstera with one plant per pot to grow up a moss pole or a wooden plank. Also, when pruning your plants, always remember to sterilize your pruners between each plant to avoid the spread of disease. Monsteras are susceptible to pests such as spider mites, mealybugs, fungus gnats, and scale. These pests can cause discoloration and deformities in the leaves, and may even lead to the death of the plant if not treated promptly. To prevent pest infestations, it's important to routinely inspect your Monstera and take action at the first sign of the problem. It's always easier to treat a small infestation than a huge outbreak. If you notice any sign of pests, such as webbing or sticky residue on the leaves, or small flying pests around your plants, start by identifying what pest you're dealing with, then treat them accordingly. In addition to these pest management techniques, it's important to maintain good plant hygiene by routinely cleaning the leaves and removing any dead or diseased plant material. To clean the leaves and help the plants better photosynthesize, start by taking a spray bottle, filling it with water, and spraying your leaves. Then take a soft cloth and gently wipe the top and the bottom of the leaves, while at the same time supporting the opposite side of the leaf with your other hand. This will keep them clean and healthy. And now here's my last tip, the one that'll prevent you from killing your Monstera. When it comes to watering your Monstera, it's important to strike a balance between under and overwatering. Overwatering can lead to root rot, while underwatering can cause the plant to become dehydrated and dry. During the growing season, which is generally spring and summer, you'll usually water your Monstera about once a week. And during the winter months, when your plant is in a state of dormancy, you can usually reduce your watering to once every 2 to 3 weeks. I give you these time frames to water your Monstera as a guide to give you an idea about how often you'll be watering your plant. But before watering every time, be sure to check the soil's moisture level by sticking your finger about an inch or two in the soil. If it feels dry, it's time to water. If it's still moist, wait a few more days before checking again. You can also get a better idea as to how much water your plant truly has by taking a wooden skewer and poking it in the soil all the way to the bottom. Don't worry about the roots, there's plenty of them, and you won't hurt the plant. Checking your plant this way over time will better help you understand how much water your plant uses in between waterings and help you better care for it. Now that you know how to grow a beautiful Monstera, watch this video next to learn how to propagate a ZZ plant. You'll love it.